Blue Justin here, still Justin, still in pain, but less blue because I've been finally watching some more stuff today. No arrivals, but as you might have guessed from the shirt, I did get to watch the new Bond 4K for today, which is Goldfinger. Indeed. Actually, even though I don't like these covers very much, you can see the extra reflectiveness more on this one. So I've referred to a little bit in the past about where they slightly metallicize certain sections, and certainly on the car wings there, etc., you can certainly see, and it's the title is much more easy to spot what it's cost, and you can actually see it on her Tilly Masterson's belt buckle and on parts of the rifle. I think it's also on her bracelet there, that's harder to make out. Anyway, yes, today was Goldfinger, and I talked quite a lot about Goldfinger yesterday because I couldn't think of anything else to say. So let's not try and repeat ourselves. However, it is, as I did mention, what I count as really one of the first Bond movies to really be a Bond movie, set the tone for future Bond movies, in that it provides a worldwide type threat, not something local like From Russia with Love. You could argue that Dr. No was a worldwide type threat with breaking up negotiations between the huge superpowers, and that I'll accept. But Dr. No was missing the sidekick villain and Q branch. This is the first one that involves all of those, with Goldfinger intending to, plot spoiler if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it now and come back. Raise the price of gold by setting off a nuclear bomb inside the dirty bomb inside Fort Knox. So his stores of gold, which are not in Fort Knox, go massively up in price, which in actual fact apparently was well researched by Ian Fleming and would have worked if it had been successfully carried out. So yeah, and of course this was the first proper big Q branch moment. I mean, the suitcase from the last From Russia with Love was great, but the actually getting to give him his new Aston Martin with machine guns and smoke dispensers and bulletproof this and that and the other, the ejector seat. I mean, come on, who didn't have the was it Dinky or Corgi with the ejector seat, and who actually can still find the little man who sat in the ejector seat? Not me. I certainly had the toy there. So yes, I really enjoy the movie too. I think the characters are absolutely fantastic. Goldfinger himself and his, the first time we're getting a proper evil henchman in Odd Job, and so yeah, that works as part of the classic Bond setup for future films. And it's something I've noticed looking at a lot, okay, I won't go all, but a lot of the villains on the t-shirt that are caricatures so you can make out who they are. It's really interesting to see that a lot of them come from the earlier, or certainly not recent, Bond movies, because you have to have something physically noticeable about you to have a caricature done like this. And it's given away by the dagger in the shoe. That could be anyone, but I think also you're getting a very, very blatant physical clues of Goldfinger covered in gold, always wearing certain type style of clothing, overweight, this, that, and the other. It's part of his, almost as his character, though I'm sure the actor was perfectly fit, really. And odd job with the swarthy features and whatever, and the killer bowler hat, etc. And obviously we've got Blofeld here with the scar down his face. Dr. No with the metallic replacement hands. Teehee, which we haven't met yet, and we won't for a while, with the replacement hand, this, that, and the other. They don't happen now because of complaints like you cannot put someone in a film who's ugly and a bad guy, or scarred and a bad guy, because you're not allowed to imply or that someone who's ugly is evil. You're not allowed to equate the two nowadays. You've got to give, it's got to be all equal opportunities. And I mean, for goodness sake, it's a Bond film, pardon my etc. But I'm starting to sound like AJ now. Good man. And yes, so I think that by not allowing standout features that people might complain about and say, why are you equating colour or race or disability or facial scarring or whatever with evil, then unless you just can't do that in modern movies, and thus it's more of the older characters who are recognisable. And I shall stand by this until somebody points me and tells me I'm totally wrong. But I don't think that's going to be so easy. So yeah, also what was really great was that I got to watch it all the way through without a single stutter, because I've got the new 4K player plugged in with great help from my wife, who's under a bit of guidance, did the cable swaps and plugged in things and knelt down that I can't do at the moment, and did the swap around, which is great. And that meant that I wasn't worried about the standard juddering or locking up on scenes with the old Sony where there was a disc layer change. Now, it used to be quite bad, then it got better because I made sure that the settings were optimized. Then it got worse again as the player started to physically fail, as the disc spinning mechanism got worse. Obviously, that's going to affect how much of the problem there is as with regards to freezing on those points and any other points as it happens. But no, for once I was very happy to be able to just go, I'm confident this is going to watch all the way through, and I'm going to be watching Top Gun Maverick very soon. It's not just because I want to watch it again, because I probably do, because it's a great film, but also because I really like the movie, yet I know there's a specific point at which it always freezes up on me, and it's so annoying when you're in the middle of an action or tension scene, and you know that, especially when you know that it's going to freeze up, and you hope it won't, and it always does. And so I'd like to watch it all the way through and find out whether at least it's not actually a faulty disc, it's just the layer change, which I suspect it is. And it's a particularly strong, if you like, big layer change. And Sony never liked it there. And I can tell you exactly where it is, if you want to minor spoilers. It's just after Maverick is landed and he's face down in the snow, and the camera starts to pan up to reveal him like coming round a bit, and you can just hear in the background the Hind attack helicopter coming over the trees that it's about to lay down machine gun fire. So yeah, that sequence, he just lifts his head and then it freezes every single time on my old player, even with the adjustments. So we're really looking forward to trying that out and hopefully finding that it's not a dodgy disc, and now I can play it all the way through, because the Panasonic is much more reliable on that sort of thing. So yeah, I was really pleased at that. There was one downside to putting the Panasonic in, and it was nothing to do with the player. Very, very happy with the player. It's to do with the fact that my old player, I used to manually have to switch between Dolby Vision and not Dolby Vision depending on whether the disc had it, and I always assumed that the reason that it couldn't pick up the Dolby Vision from the disc, even though it was supposed to be able to read it but not switch. I mean, that's really bad by Sony, if I'm absolutely honest. I've always thought that from the beginning. If you can read whether something is Dolby Vision, how hard can it be to swap internally a setting that's a soft setting, not a hard setting? So that wasn't something that ever impressed me. But I always thought that something to do with the modification had stopped it being able to read whether or not it was Dolby Vision or not. So it never told me, even so I had to actually work out from outside sources like the case or third-party sources whether or not the disc was Dolby Vision. Then I'd switch over to it manually. And now I've got a player that detects Dolby Vision and switches over to it automatically, and this disc is Dolby Vision. I have discovered that my TV has not been Dolby Vision capable all along, which is a bit of a hammer blow. I thought, I'm sure it was sold to me, etc. I was sure that I'd done my research, and when I looked into it, because I wanted a player that was 4K capable, Dolby Vision capable, and 3D capable, and this was the last one that I thought combined all those things. But in actual fact, it's just 4K. Sorry, it was just 4K. That really wasn't it. It was just 4K, and it was 3D capable, which is a bit annoying, because apparently the advertising, or the way it was described, wasn't very clear as to what they meant by enhanced features of enhanced HDR on the port, and it was, a lot of people were saying that they thought it meant Dolby Vision or HDR10, one of the two, but it didn't. It just meant an enhanced colour gamut, and so that was a bit of a dismaying fact to discover. On the other hand, at least with the 820, I know that it's a good Panasonic, it has the best HDR tone mapping in the business, which makes up for a lot of losing out on the capabilities of Dolby Vision, assuming it's available. So essentially, HDR will look much better on this new Panasonic than it would on the my old Sony, and I never had Dolby Vision to start with because the television never accepted it. So, but I want to keep the 3D, and I can't get a 3D television that's 4K anymore because they don't do 3D. So the only thing I could do would be to get a projector, and that has been vetoed by She Who Must Be Obeyed, because I can't put it anywhere because we haven't got room So anyway, yes, really enjoyed watching it though, and just a bit of disappointment that something that I've been concentrating on, like the Dolby Vision aspect of discs, etc., isn't actually at the moment making any difference to my situation. It's a shame, but I will live with it. And of course, when the TV goes kapow in the end, which I'm sure it will, I'll lose the 3D capability anyway, and I'll be moving up to Dolby Vision, and probably it'll have to be OLED by then anyway, because they'll have come down in price to a sensible price, which they still aren't in my opinion. So that was that then, yes. So some good news, some bad news, but mostly the new player, absolutely love it, and I love the fact it's actually got stuff that's on proper front display, not just a light that comes on to say I'm working. I much preferred my old Blu-ray player that actually had a little symbol on that told you, it had little lines going down to which speakers it was sending the sound to and everything, because that was really cool. But at least I've got something now I can read that when it puts up messages on the front when it needs to. Yeah, so I like that. Great player, very, very happy. Sad about the telly. Didn't have time to watch anything else apart from James Bond, because it was another day of my wife having to work all the hours that she was given for having relaxing time at the weekend, and to do stuff that work won't employ extra people for, because they say they don't need them. Well, no, they don't need them, because people like my wife do the work that should be being done by more people. It's absolutely... And again, my channel, I can rent if I like to. So no, that's the only thing. Other than that, yes, she did go up the shop. She got me some Voltarol, which was actually quite effective on my back temporarily. It's not helping the actual spine pain, but it does help the muscle pain really, really well. I recommend Voltarol, not a sponsor. However, I did put in a couple of orders. So again, obviously these are far away orders mostly. So there'll be nothing coming out of my account for some good time yet. The first one, which I don't think is even out in the cinema in America yet, so goodness knows why it's on sale for physical media already. I think it might even be coming out on physical media maybe even about the same time as it is at the cinema, which is a very odd state of affairs. And that is Robert Rodriguez's Red Sonja. He's producing, not directing, but he has stated he's being a very hands-on producer, and the only reason he's not directing it actually himself is that he's involved in other projects at the moment. So I imagine it's going to be very much his style, and that will be noticeable throughout. I love the books. I quite like the Bridget Nielsen Red Sonja film. I don't think it matches the books particularly well. I know this one's more designed to match the comic strips, so that'll be quite an interesting take. And I think Rodriguez will probably do a good job of matching a comic strip, because I think he's done that sort of work before. That's just a Blu-ray, because there isn't a 4K of that, and some people are saying that they think the film is going to be absolutely spectacular after seeing the trailer. Other people say they think it's going to be an absolute load of... Anyway, after seeing the trailer, and a lot of it's based down how much you liked the original, or the first, if you like, one with Bridget Nielsen. Some say it's a classic, some say it isn't. So yeah, I have put my order in for the Blu-ray of that. I also put in for 2 orders from recently announced, coming out in October. I think it's the 7th and the 28th or something like that. One's early, one's late October, I think. And there's, like I said, 2 Arrow 4K releases, and those are Revenge of the Living Dead, which was the first zombie movie I ever saw. I went to see it at the cinema, and I thought it was very, very funny, and I was surprised that, because I was always worried about seeing something like Night of the Living Dead, because I had a feeling that I'd be actually scared by it and stuff. But I found, despite the fact I'd never seen that, I just got the humour in the relationships back from Revenge of the Living Dead really quickly, and I thought it was very, very funny, and had lots of guts and goring, but it didn't bother me at all. So yeah, I'm getting the 4K of that. I do have it already, so that will be an upgrade. But my present one is obviously a Blu-ray. It's a shame that the new one isn't going to be a steelbook, because my Blu-ray is. So I don't know whether I'm going to play around with cases, etc. I can't remember what country my Blu-ray steelbook is from, but I know it's not. I know it's not a UK one. I think it's a Germanic language, but it isn't German. I think it might be Austrian. Who knew? And the other Arrow 4K that I have put an order in for is Ms. Fortified, that which is a women's revenge type thing, about someone who gets attacked on the way home, gets home, and then gets attacked in a similar, how do you put it without demonetizing? If I was monetized, I'd have to be really careful, but it's a sexual assault type way, SA, that's right, isn't it? Type way, and she encounters a burglar when she gets home, who tries the same thing on, but this time she fights back, gets the burglar's gun, and then from that point on, she's obviously been mentally scarred by this and sees men as sexual predators everywhere, and decides to go on her own proactive, shall we say, revenge mission, as far as I can read into the plot. So that'll be I'm sure that Arrow will produce those as excellent transfers and all the extras on them. So I'm especially looking forward to seeing Revenge of the Living Dead again, with all those extras and all the stuff that Arrow normally do for them. So yeah, that's it for me on Sunday. Like I said, that's quite a bit longer than the Saturday one, because I did actually watch something, had something to do, and obviously I went into all the Blu-ray player stuff, the 4K player stuff. And thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed what I decided to concentrate on today, and in which case if you will kindly enough like the video, because that really helps me. If you would subscribe to the channel to find out, other than hopefully tomorrow, when I will be calling the doctor for an emergency appointment first thing. So I hope to still be putting these out tomorrow, but if for some reason all of a sudden these stop, it's because they've decided that they found something really, really bad that I've done to myself, and that's why it's hurting. So okay, well, here's hoping that I'm back tomorrow, and thank you very much indeed for watching. Like I said, I hope you really enjoyed it. Please put a comment down below, and I'll reply to any of them that you do put down, commenting on anything that I've raised in the video today. Maybe you've got your own thoughts on what I was saying about the Bond villains or any type of villains, and apart from maybe, okay, I'll give you comic book villains because you can't change them too much from their original features, but if you've got a new Bond story, because all the Bond stories have been made that Ian Fleming ever wrote, so if you've got a new Bond story, it's very that's just written for screen, it won't be coming out with characters with certain physical features because of the political correctness of cinema today. And yes, or any other point you want to raise, I shall more than happy read them and have a look at them and see what I think and reply with a hopefully intelligent answer. Anyway, before I have to go now, and I shall hopefully see you again tomorrow. So bye.